Hello. Today we're going to examine the subject of building better bass lines, whatever the hell better means. Here's the problem. I've been experimenting with a variety of ways of creating patterns in my system. These are set and forget. In fact, I've become more set and forget as time goes on, and I've done that to make life simpler for me. But it will only get you so far. It is very important that there is an evolving change. I want the maximum of interest for the minimum of input, and I do need the modular to help me out. Now, my previous solution I think was excellent, but I tended only to use one type of pattern generator with it. So I got to thinking, I've really been enjoying Euclidean pattern generators. I've been using them for my rhythms for some time. If you would like to know more about Euclidean rhythms, please watch the video I made on the Rebel text Stoicheia, because I talk about what makes Euclidean rhythms so darn useful. And in general, I've moved in this case from a more prescriptive way of writing drums, that is, by pushing buttons and telling the machine exactly what I want to happen on one particular moment, to using Euclidean pattern generators so that more quickly I can get different rhythms going on. And here I'm using the vpme.de Euclidean circles module, which is great. Now, for Euclidean rhythm generators, there tend to be 3 settings. With modules like Stoicheia, you can actually grab these settings. And what's cool about Stoicheia is you get 2. Euclidean circles, however, is nice because you get 3 Euclidean rhythm generators, but to do so it sacrifices a degree of immediacy. I can change the steps like this, but if I want to change the length, another parameter, I have to push this in and cycle it until it goes the correct color, blue in this case. If I want to change the offset, I have to make it go pink, like this. So it's a tiny little bit trickier to work with. It requires one more layer of control. Now, back to my bass problem. I was like, how can I get better bass lines, whatever better means? What I suppose I mean is more like what a human would write, which is to say that it isn't just all or nothing. It's not just the same pattern repeating. There would be a degree of like push and pull. Sometimes it would be sparse, sometimes it would be busy. So I started thinking a little bit about the types of patterns that humans write. And I'm not a bassist, and I can't really think like a bassist. But what I found helpful was looking at some articles. There's some really good ones. I found one on Attack magazine, which just showed the kinds of things that people draw on grid-based sequences. And of course, I've been doing that for decades myself, but it's helpful to look at other people's approaches to see what they actually look like on the page. I found that incredibly helpful to get my head around it, because I thought if I could see what they look like on the page, then perhaps I could find a way to make them in a modular fashion. The key was being able to visualize them, which articles like that were tremendously helpful. And ultimately, some of it is just different types of patterns, and then some of it is to do with variance. Sometimes it's a sparse pattern, and then a lot of it, you know, a single note, then a nice long pause, then a cluster at the end, that kind of thing, which requires modulation, like an invisible hand wiggling the dial. And that's kind of when I realized I could just modulate a Euclidean pattern generator, mate. And I really want to take this moment of silence to admit something to you. Do you know what I actually originally thought? I thought maybe I should just get some kind of module that'll just make the bass lines for me. That just shows a real failure of thought. It's lazy, mate. Classic gas. Buying the thing will sort it out. When in fact, I already had what I needed to do what I wanted to do. Just think the problem through. There's a way to make it with simple parts. And then having those simple parts available will give you other modulation things that you can do, which I'll mention in a little bit. But the bottom line is, you've got a modular. So think like you've got a modular. I can be a real idiot sometimes. What I needed was a Euclidean pattern generator and a way to modulate it in a way that is random but loopable. What better thing to do than use everyone's favorite modulation source, the Turing machine. So let me show you how this works. Okay, so as before, if you've been following along, I'm using the IntelliJ Metropolis as the pitch sequencer, but the gate is coming from, in this instance, the Euclid module from 2HP. They call it this because it's 2HP wide. And look, length, steps, and offset. Brill. So I can go more steps, less steps, different length, some steps, change the offset. We're off to the races. And if I want a different bass line, just turn any one of these little tinkers. Because the dials are exposed like this, hopefully you can see them in the back, these three little tiny black dials let you just change the settings. Swish. Now, the Turing machine is a module that creates randomness that can be looped. So if I take a cable, everyone's favorite, and I run the output into steps and turn steps down, there we go. I end up getting what I was looking for. These patterns that have like quiet moments and busy moments, because what the Turing machine is doing is just looping a voltage, and we have a scale knob here which I'm able to use to vary how much I'm sending into steps. I just turn steps right down. And actually, I quite enjoy messing with the offset. Kind of ends up making the same kinds of things. Almost a shame that we don't have offset as an amount that we can modulate, but we do have steps. So, let me just clarify what's happening here. The bass lines are generated by the Euclid module being modulated by a Turing machine, and it literally is just the scaled output of the Turing machine going into the steps amount, with the steps set to 0 so that the Turing machine has complete control of this knob. And then in use, it's nice because you control the baseline with the Turing machine. And if you know the Turing machine, there's a couple of very fun things from a performance standpoint. Main one is that you can loop, but if you turn the little dial up, it will modulate the knob randomly. So by keeping it straight up, I will always get different bass lines. And then I could lock it like this. Now this will just play as it is forever. But you've got this little switch here, the right knob. And if you go up, it sows more voltage. And if you go less, it sows less voltage, i.e. lower voltages or higher voltages. So you can kind of do this. Turn up the scale. I do this, so we scale it so that it has complete control of the range of the knob. Now now it really will just be all on. And then if we lock the other way, you get twice as long. It's nice, isn't it? Of course, we can also have the knob kind of almost pointing about right, so you get a very, very, very slowly evolving bass line. And we can change the length. So it just frees me up. If I have this in an almost up, I get a very slowly evolving bass line that tends to have sparse and busy sections. And if it was doing something absolutely amazing, you can lock it. So it's a really nice compromise, and it's really simple. Euclidean module for the rhythms, music thing Turing machine to modulate it. I could be doing this with everything, but I do like the prescriptive nature of Euclidean circles. So in combining something that is a bit more hands-off with something that is very hands-on, I mean, it's nice to write awesome bass lines, but we can't always have the spirit of Prince in our modules. Sometimes you just gotta pick your battles. So I'm picking my prescriptive battles with the rhythms, and I'm letting the drums or the bass kind of take care of themselves to some degree. Incidentally, you're hearing the proc drums here, which are great. They do not suck. Less. More. Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you remember I said that using modules like this that have multiple outputs can give you other possibilities, not just making your bass lines fruity? Well, there is this pulses output on the Turing machine, and I thought, what better thing to do than direct wire it to one of my ones. So that's what I did. This is the Tip Top 1 sampler being triggered by the pulse. So it's like 2 for 1, 2 birds, 1 stone. I get a rhythm and a bass line. Less. So the bass line and this little percussion are related. Pretty good light, mate. Have I shown you these? off the MCO. Wavetable madness. Can't resist, mate. And round we go. Yeah. So, let this serve as a reminder to no one except myself that if you can think of a thing, that there's a way of wiring a modular to make it do the thing. Don't be so quick to spend money. Think about things that you could do with modules that you might already have. But you might have to get yourself a Euclidean pattern generator. Worth it, I'd say. Thanks very much.